All right, here's the second vintage match. And unfortunately, we've got a mulligan here, even though this is just a powerhouse draw with Vampiric, Demonic, and Ancestral. Well, there's a reason that it is. We don't have any lands. So, mulligan. Moxjet Wasteland. Yeah, we can keep this. We're leaning a little bit on the Wasteland, but we've got Force of Will, Spell Pierce to counter something that must be countered. We've got Moxjet for a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman and a Wasteland to knock our opponent off their mana. Yeah, it's not a perfect hand, but it's pretty good. It's got a lot going on. It's hard to imagine losing this turn. All right, here's a Moxjet. We'll let him have that. Going for this. What do you got? Volcanic Island into Ponder. Sure. I'm going to Wasteland the Volcanic and play Deathrite Shaman and just leave up Force of Will, Spell Pierce, I guess, depending on what we draw. Although we just see a land. Like if we just drew like a fetch land or something, that would be great. If we drew a blue spell, wouldn't be the worst, but wouldn't be very good, I guess. All right, let's see what we get. Oh. Okay. Let's make a Mox. Now I can play Scavenging Ooze or Deathrite. I think Deathrite's just better here still. So let's play Deathrite. Wasteland. Get that thing out of here. And I think that's good here. All right, stranded some stuff we did. I like this. Yes. Cast a bunch of stuff. There's no creatures, so I'd like to use my black mana. So let's play a Scavenging Ooze here. I'm not going to attack. I'm going to go ahead and use the Deathrite Shaman to take out his Ponder here. Start working on that life total. And a Dark Confidant. Wow, this draw just really came around for us. Even though we still haven't drawn any blue mana outside of Deathrite, this looks great. And I'm going to leave up my Deathrite Shaman for that reason here as well. And I think I want to leave up Wasteland too, so there's nothing right now to hit anyway. All right, he's got Force of Will. And I think I can Spell Pierce this Force of Will. I think I'd rather keep the Force of Will I have in my hand, and especially if Dark Confidant's going to resolve, because then I'll find blue cards to use with Force of Will anyway. All right, and he resolved too, so we are in a dominating position with Bob going at 20 life. And there's a Trigon Predator E2. Wow, this is just a complete beating. Let's attack. Now the question is, do we want to leave up Force of Will or just play Trigon Predator? I think we just want to play Trigon Predator. Because it just takes out his Moxjet and can just put him so, like, basically out of the game completely. All right, so we crushed him there. Wow. And you could see the power of Wasteland, right? I mean, that was really the thing that went off there. Unsure what he's playing. Maybe something similar to what we played in our first match. I don't really know, to be honest. Could be a Storm deck, like a sort of a classic Storm deck, something like that. It could be anything. I have no idea. I'm going to bring in a Duress, though, just to give us a little insight into what he's got going on over there, maybe. Yeah, I'll cut a Decay, just in case he's on like Pure Storm or something like that. We'll just make one little change. All right, Deathrite, Abrupt Decay, Snapcaster, Wasteland. Yeah, I mean, I'd prefer it if one of these random lands was a Force of Will or something, but I don't think we're going to ship this one back either. We can Wasteland him. We can Deathrite on turn 1, which is nice. Abruptly Decay something. Ooh, Mana Crypt. Jeez. Get an island? Play around that Wasteland this time? Nope, you're sure not. Don't be Empty the Warrens. God. Well, sometimes they make 8 creatures on turn 1 while you stare at them. Okay. Well, let's start off by getting Deathrite Shaman into play. I don't think it's going to be enough, but it at least will block one of these twice. Ancestral as well. Okay, so he is just completely going off here. Now that's just disgusting. Repeal, sure, we take 8. Oh, he's got Gush too. Why not? 7 cards in hand, made 8 goblins turn 1. Repeal our only play. Play this thing. Not dead next turn, but we're pretty close. Wins the flip. Like you do. Block. All right, let's brainstorm a response. And Time Walk's an interesting one. Don't really quite find what we need here. Okay, you made him this, and I think he can... Well, he doesn't actually have blue here. What does he get? A blue instant. Oh, it's only an instant. So he went and got Revealed. Force of Will. Gifts. Just in case I wasn't dead enough here already, I guess. All right. Time Walk? He's actually got enough to pay. All right. Right, if I Flusterstorm, it'll be 3. And then he goes 2, 3 to pay for it. Yeah, I'll make him do it. All right, he figured it out. Okay, well, we got thoroughly stomped that game. After stomping him game 1, I guess all is fair. And I feel like Abrupt Decay is a little worse than Duress, so I'm going to go with that. Oh, I think I want these Flusterstorms just to be able to get him on that on his big storm play there. Predators seem fine. Yeah, the Abrupt Decays just don't seem great against him. All right, let's see if we can put together something here. All right, we've got a mental misstep this time and a turn 1 Deathrite with a turn 2 Trigon Predator. I think I can keep that. So play this thing. We're going to hide the Verdant Catacombs just to let him, just so he doesn't know that we have 3 mana for our Predator. If he sees the Verdant sitting in the yard, he might not want to play, you know, a Mox or something like that. Yeah, I think I'll still just play the Predator here. I don't know how important it is to get it down since he doesn't have anything, but it should prevent him from playing a bunch of the stuff that he wants to. Or at least make them like a one-shot. I mean, I could leave up Snapcaster Mental Misstep and prevent something like an Ancestral or whatever, but I don't know how important that is rather than just getting something on the board and start getting it. Looks like he's thinking about if he wants to force the Predator, which is interesting to me. He is going to force it. All right, so I guess we made the right play. If it's going to draw a Force of Will, exiling a Gush, then it must matter. Don't be Ancestral here, though. Ugh. Well, maybe we didn't make the right play. Maybe the only reason he did that is because he knew that he had Ancestral and could just go off here. That is brutal. And a Preordain. All right, well, he's not doing a ton otherwise. Fortunately, no lands in the yard means that we don't get to cast another Trigon Predator, but what we can do is eat his Ancestral and play a Deathrite Shaman. It's not bad. And I don't get to draw a card. Maybe it's something really good. Bob, maybe? Oh, Misty Rainforest. That's nice. I think I want this Bayou, maybe. Predator. Okay. Well, you know where I'm at. Coast is clear for him. I mean, our hand was pretty straightforward as far as just sort of dumping it on the table. The only real thing that we have options for is Snapcaster Mage for Mental Misstep, which he's played his two restricted 1-drops on back-to-back turns, or 2 of his restricted 1-drops. But still, I don't know. I feel like not playing a Deathrite Shaman doesn't seem great. Like, we can kind of just wreck his graveyard here if we get to untap and start really putting a big pounding on his life total too. I mean, we can do 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 damage to him over the course of the next couple of turns. Pretty easy. Plus Trigon Predator hitting him. He's probably saving his mana artifacts for one big turn. But Deathrite Shaman against his Empty the Warrens is actually quite nice. He's going to be able to go off in a big way, though. I mean, he's brainstorming, like he's got a billion cards in his hand. He's got a Scalding Tarn to fetch. Like, we're in pretty bad shape, I think. I like our board state, obviously, but I think Vintage is a little bit more about what's in your hand sometimes, and I think he's got more stuff, way more action going on than we do. We have almost nothing. This is where we can top deck, though. Like, we can top deck a Jace or an Ancestral or either of our tutors or a Bob and kind of reassert ourselves. And here comes the load. Yep. Now, if his big play, though, is an Empty the Warrens, I'm fine with that. All right, so this sucks. He gets Ancestral here while we're exposed. And that's going to be pretty tough for us to overcome. See if he has Gush too. All right. This is going to be Yawgmoth's Will. No, Demonic Tutor, and he's going to get Time Walk. Ugh. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get another turn here. It kind of depends on what his payoff is, though. These are so brutal. I mean, he's played all of these this turn. He went from this to his entire board this one turn. And here's Time Walk. Oh, Fast Bond. All right, so he's got Gushes. This is an interesting part about Vintage. Like, I wouldn't say that this is like fun, right? I mean, we're just sitting here doing nothing, but it is kind of cool to see these decks go off. I mean, just thinking back to the fact that this has been one turn, and now we're going to get Time Walked. The question is just if he has a Gush. If he has a Gush, he can kind of go off. Eventually they play Yawgmoth's Will, and then, yeah, you just lose. But I'm pretty sure we're getting Time Walked here. Vampiric Tutor, but he doesn't have a way to draw a card currently. So he will get something on top of his yard, or on top of his library, but then what is he going to do? He's got a colorless mana floating, but one card in his hand, so I guess he can't really do both. Do we actually get to untap? It would be a joyous occasion if we did. Not a bad turn for him, though. Fairly ridiculous. All right, there's the Gush. So he gushes. So he gets to play Gush and then draw the card that he put on top, which is another Gush, or at least he's found another Gush, and boom. You see that? He's at 7 cards in hand now. Sure, some of them are the lands that he just drew, but he can replay those for free, netting him mana. Well, not for free. He has to pay some life, but, you know, he can just replay them, netting himself some mana, going back through everything, and eventually he'll find Yawgmoth's Will, replay all of these. This is ridiculous. Here we are with our 3 cute little creatures. There's Yawgmoth's Will. So now those Gushes are live. Everything is live, and he can find a way to kill us. Normally I just concede here because he's going to do it, but I want to see like what happens, right? Like this is an important time for me because I'm learning all these decks. I don't know exactly how they work, and I need to be able to disrupt them when I actually can. Here, obviously I can't, but you know, I need to be able to figure it out. So how does this work? He's flashing back Gush, Or flashing back's probably not the right word, but you know what I mean. Getting Gush back. More Gushes, 8 cards in hand. No idea what Stormcant's out, but it's probably in the 20s by now. Yeah, it's got to be like deep into the 20s. Hey, look, another Gush. All 4 of the Gushes are now in his graveyard, which is good. But he's also got 12 cards in hand. And effectively, he has 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. He's got about 20 cards in his hand effectively. I don't think that this deck actually has the Tendrils finish in it, but it might. I mean, it can make double black. If it's Empty the Warrens, that doesn't get it done unless he pairs it up with a Time Walk, which is totally easy for him to do. Because he can make, you know, 1 billion tokens and then just stack us with all of them after Time Walking. Sure has taken his time. He's got 8 minutes left on his clock. I guess that's what happens when you take a turn this long. Still, we're sitting at almost 20 minutes, so significantly ahead in that department. Not that it matters. Down to 4 life here. Down to 2. Down to 1, so has to win this turn. Otherwise, Deathrite Shaman kills him potentially here, so got to win this turn, but definitely going to. Lightning Bolt, Trigon Predator, sure. Don't care about that at all. Don't even know what the point of it is. I guess just to get it 1 more spell. Interesting. Just cast Repeal targeting Mana Crypt so that, I guess, just to draw a card. Does get you some mana too, so it nets you mana, draws you a card. And we're going to see the world's biggest. All right, there's the Time Walk. And now comes the big Empty the Warrens. Replay. You can't play any lands, but can replay the Crypt, although replaying the Crypt is risky. What? Does nothing? What in the world? What is going on here? Plays normal land for the turn. That doesn't hurt. Has library up. I have no idea what's happening here. This is weird. Opponent's down to 1. Attacking for 2. All right, you got me for 2, I guess. Can't imagine the difference between 16 and 14 matters here. I can't imagine that Deathrite Shaman matters, though. Remember this Lightning Bolt that you played last turn goes in exile zone because of Yawgmoth's Will. So there will be no flashback like Lightning Bolt, flashback Lightning Bolt to kill our Deathrite Shamans. Library, draw a card. All right. I will allow it. Same thing actually with Time Walk being in here. Pithy Needle. Sure. Pithy Needle naming Deathrite Shaman, but they can still attack. Maybe there's an Empty the Warrens here. Maybe he just like screwed up the mana or something before. And just makes like some amount of Empty the Warrens tokens. Oh, okay. Young Pyromancer. Sure. And then just floods the board with tokens. So what do I need to find? And there's the Empty the Warrens. Okay. This was not the conventional way to do this, but it should get most of it done. We have outs, though. Force of Will, not among them. Attacks don't do much here. Could hope for a screw up where our opponent leaves 1 too few creatures back, but that seems really unlikely. Merchant Scroll goes to find an instant. Sure, I guess. I mean, the card we really need is a repeal. Repeal targeting a Deathrite. Sure. Anyway, Abrupt Decay wins the game for us. Barely, but it does. Force of Will, my Force of Will. Yeah. It doesn't matter. We don't lose this turn either way. So Abrupt Decay or bust, I suppose. Abrupt Decay. No, Spell Pierce. I guess we attack. All right. Crazy game. Not really sure what to make of it, to be honest. I don't know if that was an accurate representation of how that deck goes or not, but that was a crazy game.